So you want to start powerlifting. Alright guys, I'm here to talk to you about starting powerlifting. I know it can be a super intimidating thing, but I'd love to make powerlifting accessible to everyone. I think it's a really great sport and I want to make it as easy as possible for you guys to get started. So here's a huge list that I have compiled for you guys, and I hope I'm going to cover all of these topics in one video. I've got a lot to talk about, so let's get started. Okay, so you might not even know, what is powerlifting? It's getting as strong as possible in the three main lifts, which are squat, bench, and deadlift. There's tons of spin-off programs and different ways you can train for powerlifting. Some of them are hybrid programming and power building, and then of course just training for powerlifting. All of those things you can find on the internet. I definitely recommend doing some of your own research to find a training style that's best for you. If you have money to get a coach or a trainer, that's amazing. I would definitely recommend doing it. It will save you a lot of time and energy. But if you don't like me, this is some tips to help you get started by yourself. The first thing that you need to do is find a commercial gym or a powerlifting gym in your area that you can afford and that's easy for you to access. I currently train at a powerlifting gym, which has been a lot nicer to accommodate my sport. Since I'm deciding to compete in this sport, my gym has multiple squat racks, multiple deadlift platforms, and multiple bench setups. Before this gym, I trained in a high school gym, and when I graduated from high school, I trained in a commercial gym. My commercial gym only had one deadlift platform, one bench, and one squat rack. So sometimes I would walk in ready to do my workout, all pumped, took my pre-workout, all that stuff, and the squat rack would be taken, or someone would be on the bench and there'd be a line, and I'd be like, oh my god, this is the only time I have to train, and I would have to work around it. But now that I'm at this powerlifting gym, I don't have to do that, so it's really nice. But I would definitely recommend getting started at a commercial gym. Most of the time, they're cheaper, money-wise, and they have a lot of bodybuilding machines. Bodybuilding machines can be nice because in addition to your compound lifts, which are squat, bench, and deadlift if you're a power lifter, they can add extra size and strength endurance on your muscles. You can do 10 to 12 reps, multiple sets of bodybuilding exercises to help you get stronger faster as a newbie. It's called newbie gains. So I would definitely start at a commercial gym. It gives you room to change too. If you suddenly decide that powerlifting isn't for you, that's okay. You still have a membership that allows you to do several other things. There's cardio machines, there's bodybuilding machines, trainers that can probably help you find something that you like. I'd love to make fitness a thing that everyone can enjoy. You don't have to be a powerlifter to be fit and enjoy fitness. Even though it's awesome and you totally should. But seriously, you don't. So I think a commercial gym is a better place for a beginner because it gives them room to grow and to change if they need to. Okay, so once you have a gym membership or a place that you can train, getting under the barbell. This is the scariest part, I know. It's really terrifying. I remember walking into the gym and seeing these guys squatting these huge amounts or benching these huge amounts, and I was like, I can't do that. I don't even know if I can do the bar. This is so scary. I'm gonna look like a fool. But really, everyone starts somewhere. I started squatting with just the bar. I couldn't even bench the bar. I started with 20-pound dumbbells. So don't be afraid to start. Everyone starts somewhere, and most people in the gym are going to be supportive of that. They're going to remember when they were struggling with just the bar, just starting out, and how awkward they felt. It's not a feeling that you soon forget. So I definitely recommend just getting to the gym and just going for it right away. There are some technique tips that I have so you guys feel less awkward and less alone when you start training. For squat, there's two ways you can squat, high bar and low bar. I don't do low bar, nothing against it, it's just uncomfortable for my body type. So I'm going to talk about high bar, but if you want to know something about low bar, I'll link something below from the internet that you guys can read. But for high bar and low bar actually, you want to keep a neutral spine. You want to make sure your head and neck and spine all line up in a straight line when you squat. Some people do like crank their head back or like keep their head super low. That's okay, but once you hit the heavier weights, it's definitely better to keep a neutral spine because you are compressing your spine when you put that much weight on your back, so you want to do it safely. You want your knees to be directly over your toes at the bottom of the squat or at the deepest point in your squat. You never want your knees to go past your toes. That puts extra pressure on your joints that does not need to be there and ultimately makes it harder for you to come up because you aren't stacked evenly. And finally, this is just a cue that I got from a power lifter a couple weeks ago. Don't let your knees cave in at the bottom of the squat. You are a much more powerful lifter if you pretend that someone is pressing your knees on either side at the very bottom of your squat and you try to push their hands away from you. So those are all my tips for squats. Now moving on to bench. Be very careful not to over rotate your wrists. You want to keep everything stacked. The more stacked you are with squat, bench, or deadlift, the more power you're going to have. So when you're holding the barbell, you want to keep it right in the heel of your hand, kind of stacked right here, and it'll be directly over your wrist, and it'll go straight down through your forearm to your elbow. So you'll have the strongest position possible in order to push that bar above your head. If you're going to arch your back when you bench, which I totally recommend doing, it'll improve your longevity in the sport and it'll keep you safe. Do your research, number one, and be careful because there are a lot of arch haters out there, but I promise guys, it's scientifically proven it's better for you. So do your research on how to arch properly. Talk to trainers in your gym or fellow powerlifters so they can visually see in person that your arch is a safe way to arch. And then finally, for the actual bench pressing, this is kind of something I learned recently actually, is there's two styles. There's touch and go, which is when you bring the barbell down to your chest and immediately press up. And then there's also paused, which is normally used during competitions. So if you're ever looking to compete, I would start training this way so your body's used to it. You want to bring the barbell down to your chest and make sure you have complete control of the barbell and then push up. By complete control, I mean not going to one side or the other side or like rotating. You want to be very steady in your lift until you push up. And finally, my tips for deadlift. There's two ways to deadlift, just like squat. There's conventional, which is when your toes are pointed forward and your knees also. And then there's sumo, which is when your toes are pointed outward and your knees are going outward as well. I don't think there's one that's really better than the other. A lot of people like sumo better because there's a lesser range of motion, but really I think it's personal preference, whatever your body is more comfortable with. I train both ways, but I do train sumo, and if I ever go into a competition I will pull sumo because it is my stronger lift, and yes, it does cut the range of motion, so the least amount that I have to lift that heavy bar off the floor is probably what I'll do. And of course you want to keep a neutral spine while deadlifting. You don't want to arch your back at any point during the lift, and you want to keep your chest over the bar, so a little bit ahead of the barbell. That way you keep the bar as close as possible to your body as your hips come forward and you lift the bar upward. And for equipment, I'm sure you'll see a ton of professional lifters and even like seasoned lifters online using belts, knee sleeve, wrist wraps, a ton of stuff. There's a ton of cool stuff out there for you guys to learn and play with. But if you are a beginner and you're not sure where you're gonna quite go with powerlifting yet, I would definitely recommend holding off on a lot of those items. If you do want to purchase a piece of equipment, I'd say a good place to start would be knee sleeves. You can get some from Mark Bell's website. I've heard those are really good. I'm looking to purchase a pair myself. There are some on Amazon if you want to give those a go. They're like $10 to $20, I think. That's what I started with. That's what I'm using now, but I'm not a huge fan of them. But for getting started, it didn't hurt. It's not, knee sleeves won't hurt you. The next thing I did purchase after my knee sleeves was my Inzer belt. Pioneer Fit also makes excellent belts. I would definitely recommend purchasing a quality belt over one off of Amazon or just like a cheap Velcro one, because in the long run, the cheap Velcro ones and the fabric type belts are gonna break down really easily and quickly, and it's gonna be more expensive in the long run, I think, if you're just going through those belts constantly. I would definitely get a quality belt. It's gonna save you money and it's gonna feel better. You're gonna be able to brace your abs better against a thick piece of leather opposed to a flimsy piece of fabric. It's just common sense, I think. Anything else I think you can hold off on, honestly. I wouldn't waste your money at this point, but of course, as you become a more seasoned lifter, you get more into it, it's definitely worth your money and time to check some of the products out. In addition to equipment, you might hear a lot of your favorite lifters or favorite athletes talking about supplements. Okay, I have mixed feelings about supplements. They can really help sometimes with muscle recovery and energy for pre-workout, but I do think that you don't need them as a beginner lifter. I didn't use them for probably my first year of lifting, and with all the newbie gains, honestly, I don't think you'll need them. If you do decide you want to start somewhere though, creatine monohydrate is a great place to start. It'll help your muscle recovery and it will help you get stronger. Since your muscles are able to recover faster, you'll be able to get back into the gym sooner and work. BCAAs are also a great addition to that. I would be careful with taking any supplement though and buying any supplement, because it is a pretty unregulated part of the fitness industry, so just be careful what's in your supplements that you're taking, do some research, and then of course with anything, your tolerance level is going to change the more often that you take them. So just be aware of that too. If you're planning on lifting for a really long time, like, you might need to have periods of time where you take yourself off of your supplements and then go back on, or take more, like 2 scoops per versus 1 scoop or whatever of whatever you're taking as you continue in the sport. With lifting, one of the most important things that I've learned is you have to trust the process. You have to continue to work even if you think it's not paying off at that very moment. Down the road, it does, like 99% of the time. So trust the process, trust your coaches if you have them, trust your trainers, believe in yourself, and I promise results will follow. Alright guys, I know that was a lot packed into one video, but if you have any questions, feel free to message me on Instagram or comment down below. I'd be happy to help you. And if there's any other topics that you guys would like me to address with powerlifting or even nutrition, I might do a video on. Give this video a thumbs up and let me know, and I'll be happy to do so. Alright guys, that's the end of this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Something that's going to be difficult. I've said that like 5 times, honestly. I just keep repeating myself because I'm really nervous.